Hello everyone, Amp here, and today we are back with the Amplified podcast. And yes, I know my chair is squeaky and I need a new one, so if anyone wants to give me one, thank you. So, we are talking about Tiger King. I know I'm about 2 weeks late on this, but I finally finished episode 7. I'm not watching episode 8. It's like a whole I might watch and do a whole like separate thing on that, but that's not. Also, I'm wearing a black hoodie because I don't care that it's still hot or not really hot, but I like wearing hoodies. So this might be the podcast hoodie. I don't know yet. I took notes on every single episode, all 7. So I didn't really take a lot of notes for episode 1. It's mainly like the opening episode. Also, let me just get you a few disclaimers. I wrote down notes that I thought were important. My opinion is my opinion. Also, if you hear yelling, it's my nephew. I told him don't yell, and he said I can't hear with my headphones on. So if you hear that, my apologies. Not really my fault. If you hear the fan, it's not on right now, but I might turn it on because I do get hot sometimes in a hoodie. So that happens. That happens. But I have my notes. So let's start. Let's go over some of the basis here. So this started out the person Joel, I'm pretty sure his name, was not intentionally doing this, and he didn't know that when he got himself into this, it was going to be a 5-year thing. But that's what happened. It became a 5-year thing, and all started when someone said, "Do you want to see what's in my van?" And it was a snow leopard. So that's where this whole thing starts. Um, so Joe Exotic runs the GW Zoo, and by the time it all ended, he had 227 tigers. He hates Carol Baskin. She is the owner of the Big Cat Sanctuary, Big Cat Rescue Sanctuary. Um, and then I also wrote down for episode 1, there's a guy named Doc who has Big Beach Safari is the name, I'm pretty sure, of Hinzu, and there's a lot of people. So hopefully, you know what, let me do this. When I name somebody, I'm going to put a picture. If I hopefully remember to do that in editing, I will probably. But, so let's just, I'm going to put pictures because I don't remember people's, okay. There's a lot of people in this, mini doc. It's not mini doc. In this mini doc, I'm going to say that. And there's a lot of names I don't remember or people so I just said like descriptions of them. I put their face here. So let's see. I don't remember what year this starts off in. I know it ends in 2017, 2018, I think. So let's see. So in episode, we'll skip episode 1. It's basically just guidelining of all the back stuff. Um, Okay. Oh yeah. So Joe Exotic has these. Okay, this is where it starts. I think where the Joe and Carol thing starts going on. So Joe has these mall tours. Where he does these magic tricks, whatever that some kid showed him how to do, and all this, and then Carol Baskin and her husband. His last name's Howard, I think, or his first name. Don't know. Their pictures are here. Um, they are emailing. They send someone out with a to track Joe and to stop him from doing these mall tours. Um, which Joe doesn't like. Obviously, it stops some income, a lot of income coming in. So that's where also Joe has his own TV show on something, I don't know. I didn't really catch what it was on. I think he just had a website where he did these little things. So in episode 2, it starts off with what's her name? Saf getting her arm torn off because she stuck her arm in the cage. I don't think she was supposed to. I don't know what happened. But it became this whole big news thing, and um, she didn't like that. So literally, when she was all good, the doctor gave her an option of it's gonna take. I think they said 2 years. I didn't write it down. 2 years. For it to like everything to be good or amputated, and she just said amputated, and then I think it was 4 or 5 days later she went back to the zoo so that the story wouldn't get so, distraught or whatever. um then let's see, Joe sells animals to parks. I think someone says that you can sell baby tiger for 2 grand or more, depending on how I think endangered the tiger is. Um, and then let's see. Oh yes, this is a lot. I have like a lot of notes to go through. This is really bad because I just wrote down like little things, but it gets like I wasn't going to watch this series. I was like, it's too much hype. But then someone at work was like, you should really just watch it. It's like you think it's gonna like, oh, it can't get more crazy, and then it does. And I was like, what is happening? What is happening? But okay. Besides that, let's see. Yeah, this is where. Yep, I wrote down Carol tracks. Oh, hmm. I don't know what my handwriting says here. This is really bad. Wow, I don't know what this says. I'm really bad. Okay, this I also was watching this series like at 11 o'clock at night in the dark. Oh yeah, and then it says this guy named Stark. He owns a zoo called, I don't remember. He buys a lot from Joe. That's what he says. He buys a lot of cubs from Joe. And then, oh yeah, Carol tries to get someone to track Joe on who he's selling to, like these cubs, and she wants to, pass some act, and all that. Um, I don't know what my notes say. Let's go to the next page of this. Oh, I think that says Mario. Mario, you can't get in. Nope. I don't know. But so it's just really it fascinates me, this whole thing of like why can't they just and in the end the animals are the like it should be about the animals, and it didn't. The animals don't win in any of these any of this. The animals are still not in the right, things. The animals are not winning anything that's happening at all with all their legal fees. All the legal fees that they had to do could have went to the animals. That didn't happen. It just went to more legal fees and all that. It's kind of crazy to think where their mindset was and all this back and forth stuff. It's very interesting. It kind of it's kind of shocking, but it's I don't know. It's crazy to think that this went on for so long. And even before they started this, it went on for so long. But let's see. So there's this person named Mario, and you can only get in with an appointment or you know him. So that's what they did. They went through Doc, and Doc got them into the Mario. Mario did 12 years in jail, and all that. I don't remember if they said what he did. Oops. So let's move on to Doc. So Doc Antle owns the Myrtle Beach Safari something something or whatever, This is him. He has several girls. Just it's crazy to okay. It's crazy to think that Doc had several girlfriends or wives that people would say he had. And Joe had 2 husbands in the end, but a third one which was down the line, but 2 of them at the same time. And Joe had, they said, either 2 or 3 girlfriends or one wife and 2 girlfriends, something along the lines of that. And they also had someone who previously worked there do an interview saying, if you want to rise to the top, you have to sleep with him and do all this jazz. And she wasn't about that, obviously, and she actually left. Um, but she was saying something along the lines of like they wanted her to look a certain way, obviously, and so they set her up for a breast, to get bigger breasts, and she went along with it only the fact that so she can rest for a few days because it was nonstop. She said like you worked and you got $100 a week and that was it, which is not really good. um, yeah, sleeves, and then oh so Joe's husband's names were John and Travis. John was the first one. And then this 19-year-old boy named Travis comes along to the zoo and they asked John if they, do, and they did. So it was all three of them at the same time. Um, which is funny because people in the documentary said that John and Travis weren't even gay to begin with. They were straight as can be, which I thought was kind of funny. Oh, yeah. And so then we get to the part where Carol doesn't have, I guess, employees, but does. So she has this system of volunteer tiers to work, and it's a whole process. It's kind of crazy, actually. So she has these shirts that goes in order. So the red shirt is a beginner, and you have to be there for a year volunteering, I guess, to help out and clean and all that. And then you move on to a yellow shirt, I'm pretty sure, and that has to be a year, I think. And then a green shirt, you have to be there for 2 years. And then to get a navy blue, you have to be there for 5 years. And I think there's a royal blue, which are the interns, and Carol doesn't know any of the interns that are there. She said that she doesn't know. They weren't there for 5 years, and then something, I don't know. She doesn't know who they are, which I think is surprising for someone who's so into their animals to not know your interns. It's kind of weird. She says she has all these animals, but all you can see in the dock are a few, and people say it's mainly just 12 tigers. So yeah, and then they did yeah, so Joe went undercover. I don't know how Joe Exotic was undercover with. You can clearly tell who he is, unless Carol wasn't there that day, which I doubt. She wasn't at her own zoo. And he's the one who said you can only see 12 tigers when she said she had more than that. So he goes in a helicopter and goes an overview of it and jokingly says let's throw grenades over or something like that, which is kind of crazy to think about to do to someone, but they didn't, obviously, thank God. And then it goes back to Doc. So I think it was the girl. I don't remember her name. I'm really sorry. If I can remember her name and have a picture, I will. But Doc runs everything, she said. Doc has their schedule, what they wear, what they look like, their names, all that. Everything is his way or the highway. It's kind of crazy to think that for someone who runs a tiger zoo, whatever you want to call it. What he had more than tiger. I think he had, I don't know. It's crazy to think that all these people knew each other but also hated each other at the same time. So the next thing, oh yeah, they said that, who was it? Oh my God, I wish I wrote down who said this. So they said that Doc would kill cubs that were done with, couldn't profit from cub cuddling or whatever, where you would hold a cub and you pay for it, obviously, and all that. And then this is where stuff gets very interesting. At the last part, I don't know who said it. It says Carol's third husband was missing. Missing. So that ends off episode 2. And now, let me get my papers. Episode 3. So it starts off. So Carol is married to this guy named Don Lewis. He felt that he was endangered and all this. So little backstory. So Carol was part of a very religious household. And I think she said she was 14 years old when, I don't know how many men she said. I think 3 had her way with her without her consent. And in her household, they thought if that happened to you, you were asking for it and what you were wearing, or you were just asking for it in general. So I think she said she left the house at 15, and she married, I don't know who, don't remember his name. Do I have it here? No, I don't. She married this guy that was abusive, I think, or something like that, and had a kid, I don't know, something along the lines. And then she left, took a walk at night, and Don Lewis was driving around and asked if she needed a ride. And after the 3rd time of asking, he said, "You can have this gun pointed at me, and if I try to do anything, you can shoot me," which is crazy. So she hopped in, and then Don was married with, I think, 2 kids, and she was, I think, still married, and they rendezvoused and for a few, and then they both got divorced and they married each other and a lot of stuff. Anyways, so Don was rich. Don Lewis was rich and she had nothing. So she used that to her advantage, I think, personally. And it's crazy to think that your husband would just disappear. And it's I don't know, the interviews and news things they use in the documentary series, I don't know if that was genuinely sad and tears. You know, you can tell when something is genuine and, you know, they're sad and they're mourning the death of their possible husband. And the fact that she waited so long, in my eyes so long, that she called the secretary, I don't remember her name, and said, "You think I should file a missing persons report?" Yeah, I think you should. What do you mean, do you think I should? But, Don felt that he was endangered as to what his ex-wife and kids and everyone else said and interviewed for this. It's crazy to think that after he said that, he would go missing, you know? It's, I don't know, it's crazy to think. I know Don wanted, so Don wanted to move, everything to Costa Rica, and Carol did not want that, because in Costa Rica you could do whatever. There wasn't like, I guess it'd be more money, and he was had money, wanted more, I guess. And Carol was more about like, no, let's just keep them here or something, and, you know, all that. So, it's crazy to think that when the police got involved, they found his van in an airport, and instead of checking it, they brought it back to the big cat rescue and left it there for days. That's easily, Carol could have went in, cleaned it what she needed, and done all that, because his keys were still in the van. And I'm pretty sure, let's see, his keys were still in the car. And if you wanted to disappear, you wouldn't leave anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, you wouldn't. And they said that if he did leave by plane, there would be um an airport, or those towers would know that he was there. But Carol says that once he got his license, he got it revoked, and he's always flight illegally that way. And the planes he had, there was no way he did one stop from where they were all the way to Costa Rica. He had small planes, it wouldn't last that long. And Joe did a music video of this person that looked like Carol, and I mean, it looked like Carol, like 100% looked like Carol, like it was crazy. And it was this actress feeding the tigers what looked like a human, and because the theory was that she killed her husband and she fed him to the tigers because the acid in tigers, everything's gone like this. Like bones get, yeah, everything's gone. So easy. And there was a part that really stood out was that the kids wanted to get a DNA test on the meat grinder, which I thought was like, whoa, if the kids want it, why didn't they do that? Because they had a meat grinder. And once everything happened, she got rid of everyone who was there when Don was there, all his stuff and staff. And he also, on a refrigerator, I think it was a communal one, I forgot who said this, but said, if you say Don's name, just know it's not going to end well. Which I thought was, like, why would that, guilty? Excuse me? She didn't, everyone, he had, and it was crazy because the secretary, I don't remember her name, she was in charge of the wills of Carol and Don. And that day where she reported Don missing, she went into the office, took the wills, got it reworded and everything. And no one, I mean no one, probably no one has heard of someone on the will saying, in case I die or disappear. I'm sorry. What? You're telling me this man foresaw his own disappearance? No, that doesn't happen. And the episode ends there. Episode 4 is, let me look, about, oh, so Carol and her husband, I'm pretty sure his last name's Howard. I didn't really care for this couple to begin with. Carol was the main person anyways. Her husband could care less about. Okay. They had a full filing cabinet, and then they had another spot, all of just Joe Exotic. And that's crazy. It's crazy to think that, it's crazy to think that someone was so upset. They were so obsessed with each other. That's what I don't understand. Why are you so obsessed of each other? You know what I'm saying? Like, they were just too much with each other and forgot about their animals, in my opinion. But, Carol took Joe to court for... Oh, so Carol took Joe to court. This, I think, is the first court thing that they've done, because Joe had this thing called Big Cat Rescue Entertainment, and he used the same header and this on everything like that, and it was, they said, I think copyright or I don't remember it, stupid stuff. I feel like she just should have just left it as is, not dealt with it. I feel like it got out of hand, to be honest. And so she posted a picture of these three people holding dead rabbits to feed the tigers, and they were happy in it, these people, because they were going to feed their favorite tiger or whatever. And Joe took advantage of that, obviously, and posted on his social media and whole thing. And that also got brought up in court. And he said, she said, this, she did this, he did this. This whole high school and almost like middle school too drama that's going on. Kind of sad. So Carol wanted everything of Joe's. Like, I mean, every last cent, the zoo, everything, as a way of she took, I know she took the semi trucks. She took, I think there was two semi trucks they took, and then all of a sudden the scenario like not scenario, the scene changes because the studio that had everything, the studio, and then also was attached to an alligator den of four alligators, I'm pretty sure it was. And the cops came and they could prove, and the firefighters could prove that it was done in arson. And people think it was because Carol wanted everything and all the documents, and also everything in there. The guy, oh wow. Oh yeah. So this guy named Ricks does a reality show for Joe, and everything they ever filmed was in there. Like, I mean, everything. He didn't back anything up, which I think is kind of stupid if you didn't do that, but it was a different time, I guess. I don't know. All that was destroyed. All of Joe's equipment was destroyed. All files, documents, everything was destroyed. So, Carol was offered 20,000 for something, I don't know. And then, but Carol claims she doesn't know anything. And like when I got it. Never mind. I understand my notes. Carol was offered 20,000 to get someone. Wow, I just lost it. This is really bad. I have a headache right now. This is probably why I can't think of anything. But she claims not to know anything. Joe tried to make a deal with Carol about payments. Like, I think it was $1,000 a month or something like that, and Carol wasn't having it. And in the same thing, Jeff Flo came in the picture. Picture here, if I remember to put in. Jeff Flo, he would bring cubs in suitcases and pay people for playtime and all this stuff. And Joe says Jeff Flo basically sold the zoo. And now episode 5 happens. So episode 5, when Jeff and Joe decided to become partners in this zoo. And things start off a little rough. So Jeff fires half the staff in the first year. And Jeff wants to remodel the zoo, so he does. Joe convinces this person, James. I'm really bad. I don't remember why he was there. I think he's the businessman. Offers James to open a $14,000 restaurant in Joe's zoo. I think it was a pizza place, not gonna lie. And then in 2015, Joe decides to run for president. Does that go well? You'll see. So Joshua is this person who is the campaign manager, and that was his dream job. He knew Joe prior to this because he was a manager of the guns and ammo in the Walmart that was local to Oklahoma. I don't know if I said this, but this all takes place in Oklahoma, just saying. So he was the campaign manager for 1.5 years, and also Joe tried to run for governor of Oklahoma, which Joshua helped Joe do. And it's crazy to think that this is still going on, this everything in the background. So back to the Joe and Jeff thing now. Joe and Jeff seem to be going alright, and then Jeff brings this guy named Alan Glover. I'm pretty sure that's his last name. To it, and Joe and Alan do not get along at all, and Joe was trying to get Alan to do something, and Alan says, "You're not my boss, Jeff is," which really pissed Joe off, obviously. And I don't know, then it explains all this stuff about Travis. So, people say Travis felt like a prisoner, that he wasn't gay to begin with. It was just that Joe provided what Travis wanted, which was drugs. Which is kind of crazy. But if you need something and don't have money, you're going to go to someone who's going to give it to you for you to stay. And Travis and John, if they want anything, Joe got it for them. He wanted them to stay. And it's sad because Joe wanted someone there to love, I guess, and he never saw it as they were using him. And Joshua and Travis were sitting in, I think, the office. Alright, my SD card got full because I didn't take stuff off it. So we're back with another SD card. So, let me go back. I don't remember where I was, but Joshua and Travis were having a conversation in the office, and Travis would always have a gun, a Ruger gun. I don't know how to pronounce it. Sorry, I'm not a gun enthusiastic, but and he would always put it out, and Joshua told him, I don't like that and stuff like that. And then Travis puts the gun at him, saying, this won't shoot if it doesn't have a clip in it or something like that. And all of a sudden, the video shows, like, the camera in the office shows Joshua's reaction because you can't see Travis. And you see and Joshua thinks that Travis is pranking him. But honestly, Joshua just saw Travis end his own life and saw a dead body. And I don't know how I don't know. It's crazy to think that would happen. But after that, Joe changed. And they have a little memorial on the, and I think Travis was only 21 or something, 22. He was there at 19. He lived a short life that Joe changed after that. That's what people said. But then after all that, Jeff Lowe went back to Las Vegas to do something with Cubs, which didn't go well. It bounced, and then 2 months after, Travis dies. He meets this person, Dylan. They go on a date in the parade, and they get married after 2 months. And it's to say the least that people would say Joe lost his passion. That it wasn't the same, after Travis died, which, I mean, if someone dies, your whole mental state changes, But then, who was it? Joshua finds a mic that is taped to the roof of the gift shop. And he tells something's fishy going on. And the episode ends there. So episode 6, second to last episode, episode 6, talks about Jeff Lowe, and it says that he would beat his first wife and sneak cubs into hotels. Joe said Jeff is a predator and, all that. And in the time of something, he gets caught, having cups in the hotel, and he goes to court and said that he has to be in good behavior, or he gets 179 days in jail if he doesn't be good for a year. So he does that. And then Joe burns everything and wipes all the computers because Jeff has a zoo again or something. I don't know. And Joe has a few days to get everything and sell these things and all that. Joe moves with Dylan and a few people. No one knows where he is. Not even Jeff or Doc or any people. Just the documentary people know. Joel knows where he is, which is ironic. And people were saying, why run if you have nothing to hide, So then Jesus. So Joe left and didn't tell anyone. Joe still believes Carol. For some reason, it's still brought up. Joe still believes Carol killed her husband, which, man disappeared after he said he wanted a divorce. Just saying. The workers, Jeff told the workers to tell if anyone asked about Joe that he retired, which was crazy. And the interviewer people, the people who made the doc went in there with cameras on there, hiding cameras. And then the rumor started that Joe hired someone to go kill Carol Baskin. And then this is where everything unfolds, basically. Jeff and Joe maybe were conspiring with each other to kill Carol Baskin is what it goes. And Joe, all of a sudden, not Joe, Jesus, all these J names, James becomes an informant to record Jeff and Joe's conversations because the FBI found that, or something, I don't know, somehow, some way, the FBI found out that James had an illegal lemur and he didn't know that, and something along the lines of that. And then one of the interviewers goes to John and says, did you know that James was an informant to the FBI? And he goes, what's new to me? What do you mean? All that, So then James told the FBI that Alan was going to kill Carol Baskin. Still have more to go on this. Let's see. And then Amanda Green, which is from the FBI, was joined in 2017 for the case or something like that. And they said people said that Jeff told Alan that he could hide, hit, and then run after, and was showing Alan on Google Maps, the bike path in our house and all that. And so then Carol puts more cameras and all that. Supposedly Alan disappears. No one could find him for a bit, and then the plot was over, basically. So that's what James reported back to the FBI. And then, because the thing, because it wasn't pursued yet in court, is because there's no proof of money being transferred that it actually happened and any of that, There has to be proof of that from the go forward, which there wasn't. So they find that there was a money and phone that Alan got from Joe in July of 2018. So a year and a half later. But they still couldn't arrest him because there was no proof of the money, like bank statements or anything like that. But Joe gets arrested in 2018 at a hospital parking lot. And he said you would think they were arresting Ted Bundy or something. There was a lot of people. And then after that, Joe, Jesus, all these J names. Jeff Lowe rebuilds the zoo. I don't know why they went to that, but it did. And then episode 7. It's Tim and Jeff becomes partners and wants to make the zoo somewhere. I think it was the border of Texas. I think James is the one who recommended that. So they do that. They start building the zoo. It's, I think, 40 acres or something. I don't know. Remember? I'll slip my mind. I didn't think it was important. And then the case of Joe Exotic goes through. And they tear up the zoo and find five tiger bones and stuff down there that's dug. And it's Joe went on saying that if a tiger is sick or is old and he put up misery, all they can do is either shoot them or euthanize them. And he didn't want the tigers in pain anymore. And it was only 5. I don't remember how long he had the zoo, to be honest. And it's crazy that his ex-husband, John, testified him on both accounts of the attempt to murder and the wildlife and something part. I don't remember what it's called. But he did, which shocked a lot of people. It's weird to think that I didn't hear anything on the news about this. I'm pretty sure it was nationwide. And I don't remember hearing anything about Joe Exotic in 2017 or 2018 when all this stuff was going down. So that was very interesting. So when the court was going on, they didn't have anyone on Joe's side. Like, there was no one there for him for person, basically. But, what's his name? There was a guy that was there for Joe for 12 years, and they didn't ask him at all to testify. Because he was going to testify, I think, with Joe, I think. Which is crazy that he did not get to testify at all. But another thing that really shocked everyone is that he wasn't supposed to take the stand. He wasn't supposed to testify at all. And the lawyer said he wasn't going to testify, and then all of a sudden Joe testifies. And they said that Joe had an answer for every question that was asked. Everything. He had an answer. They would ask something, answer. Ask something, answer. He had an answer for everything. This man had the memory of computer, basically. I don't know. But then Joshua says that Jeff set Joe up. And then Joe feels, and then it cuts to Jeff being like, "What I didn't set him up. I told the truth." But I think that it was just to protect his own self, you know? And then after the jury, when he testifies, Joe says he feels that he did good. And then all of a sudden, Brittany from PETA meets with Joe and his attorneys, and she would never thought that their biggest enemy that they would help because he had all the legal documents or something about selling, and I guess he wanted, lesser and, things and sentence, and I guess that happened. So Joe gives information to Brittany about everyone. I think Doc Doc's the main one, I think, that he sends out for Doc and some other people. And then it cuts to Rick for some reason saying that, he lost his passions and he had to do a reality show that never aired because he lost the footage when Joe looked like he actually cared for the animals and he didn't. And then it basically ends with some old text saying, like, Joe was sentenced to 22 years in prison, so it was supposed to be, like, I think up to 80, and he only was sentenced to 22. And then it says, the Big Cat Safety Act has not been passed, that Doc Antle's Myrtle Beach place with the zoo was raided by authorities in 2019, so last year. And then Doc hasn't like reached out because I think they reached out to Doc saying something about like, do you want to comment on you euthanizing cubs? Didn't um didn't well I can't think of okay didn't respond to that. Also, the reason why they were going that because Joe said that he would euthanize cubs in a gas chamber and cremate them in his on-site whatever the words. I can't say certain words. That word. And so then it also goes to saying that there's 5,000 to 10,000 tigers that live in captivity in the U.S. and there's only fewer than 4,000 tigers remaining in the wild. I think that means like worldwide, which is crazy. And after watching this, it's just like it's just crazy to think that like I don't it it's just amazes me what like the animals like they still suffered. They didn't no good came out of it. And it through the whole episode of the whole series I was like it got crazier and crazier and crazier and just like why do I want to watch more though? It's because all the hectic and drama and all that and all the social media that was going on about it and all this and it was still going on and all the memes that are coming out of it and you just wanted to watch the whole series and that's what I did. I watched the whole series and my mom's about to watch it, so we'll see what her input is. She's gonna start it when she's done with her series on Netflix, whatever she's watching right now. But it's crazy to think that this happened. But the crazier part is, I watched TV at that time where all this was going on, and I didn't like. I'm pretty sure this was like a big news story. I didn't hear anything about it. We didn't. None of us. There was no. Oh, did you hear about Joe Exotic and all this and that? And like, no, we didn't until recently because the documentary came out and this whole thing. And it's just crazy to think that during the time, none of my friends, none of us heard anything about it. Like, I feel like it would have been went to federal court, correct? So like, wouldn't it? Like, it was a big thing. It was like the wild and safety, and then the FBI. But I don't. There's nothing. There was no news about it that I saw when I was during that time, which was crazy to think that, and none of us remember hearing anything about it back then. Which I think it's crazier that it's such a big thing now because of this came out, obviously. But it's like it amazes me like the back and forth. They wanted like Carol wanted like all animals to be able to run and do all this, but in the end, did that happen? Not really. I mean, they're still in these cages and stuff. They're not in the wild like they're supposed to, and all this and that. I mean, the animals didn't win from this.